Compaction, can you see the compaction layer in that soil? I think it's kind of hard in here. But notice in this agricultural field, we're talking about wheat or barley or oats. The compaction layer is at the depth that the tillage equipment is going down to. The pressure from the plow itself pressing on the soil is causing compaction. As water moves through that soil, it's going to puddle at that compaction layer. Water will not move from soil of one density, we fluffed it with the plow, into soil of a different density. The water hangs up, it goes anaerobic here. You're starting the plow pan. Because as your roots then grow down and they hit that anaerobic zone, the anaerobic conditions will kill them. So, your root system is now confined into that small depth of your soil. You've basically put your root system into a coffin. How well would you grow in a coffin? And so neither do your roots. So agricultural fields, and then think about when we're dealing with urban, suburban, landscape kinds of things. Exactly the same thing has happened. So here's from somebody's backyard in Boston. They wanted to put in a barbecue pit. And so they dug down into the soil. Can you tell me where the compaction layer is in this soil? The root systems of all these plants are confined in the top 3 feet of the soil. They hit that compaction zone. Can you see that black? Ooh, and the smell coming out of here was like, whoa, who's got the cesspit in their backyard? Anaerobic is all get out. It's killing all the roots. And so most of the roots from this tree are fighting with the roots from that shrub and with the grass. Nothing is doing well. Oh no, the tree's perfectly healthy. It's green, it's growing. Yeah, that explains the scale. That explains the caterpillars. That explains the fact that whole massive parts of that tree are dead. No leaves growing at all. Right, healthy tree. How do you fix this problem? Get your organisms down to that compaction layer. You may have to inject them. Have to get them deposited down into that area so it rebuilds soil structure so the root systems of your tree can go down as deep as they ought to go. How far down can root systems of plants go? What's the maximum depth? You've been told root systems of your veggies only go a couple inches, your trees only go 3 feet, your vines only go 3 feet. Excuse me? They apparently have no idea how plants grow. This is a grass plant. This is ryegrass from most people's lawn. This is work I did with Hendrikus Schraven. This is Hendrikus. He's 6.5 feet tall. And he is holding the grass plant that is only 3 months old. And that root system on that grass goes 4.5 feet into the soil at 3 months. We were mowing that grass, so we mowed the grass several times. 3 days before we dug this plant out of the soil, so we had a PVC pipe that we pounded into the soil, and then we pulled it up using, a big winch, cut the PVC pipe off, washed that soil, that column gently, and you can see the roots from that single seed of grass after 3 months. How far down does the grass in your lawn go? It ought to be like this in 3 months. Go and take a look at your pasture. If the root system of your pasture grasses are only going down 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 of an inch, what's your take-home message? It's not soil. You don't have life. Fix it. Because if your root system is going down this deep, do you have to worry 1 iota about the nutrition that your plant's getting? About the water that your plant's getting? You don't have to water anything at all, even through the driest summer. We've worked in Saudi Arabia, in Dubai, in many places throughout the Mideast, in the desert systems in North America, in Mongolia, and we are showing that if we get the proper biology in the soil, we can bring life, we can grow plants at maximum productivity anywhere. Okay, maybe not the North Pole. But anywhere where we've got the climate to allow plants to grow, we can fix these problems. If you've ever been told you've got really bad soil, so poor, your soil's so poor that you cannot possibly grow row crops or good pastures, it's complete and total, excuse the French here, bullshit. Because we can too. I have quite often taken USDA Extension Service agents out to a farm that I've started to work on and asked them to tell me what is the soil, what is the sand, silt, clay fractions in this soil. They'll look at it, oh, this is pure clay. You can't grow anything. Best you could grow here would be Bermuda grass. Good luck keeping your animals alive on Bermuda grass because no nutrients. It's an early successional grass species. So I just thank them. I've got the documentation. They have written a report that says the only grass that's going to be able to grow here is Bermuda grass because all you've got is clay. So we proceed out there and put on a couple tons of good compost with the proper biology, plant our big and little blue stem, the highly productive grasses in that part of the world, the Indian grass, the eastern grama and the blue grama grasses, get a gorgeous crop of grass growing, invite the USDA Extension Service guy back out to the field, and he looks at that soil and says, oh, this is the most lovely loam soil I've ever seen in my whole life. And I laugh. Because the only mineral particle that's in that soil is clay. And within just a couple weeks, we've converted it from clay that is completely and totally compacted. You cannot drive a stake into that soil because of the compaction of the clay. And within just a few short weeks, rebuilt the structure with the proper biology in that organic matter and brought the growth of reseeded and brought the growth of those grasses right back up to where you want to be, to the point that after that growing season, the Extension Service guy comes in and says, fantastic loam. What did you do? No, take a sample of this soil. Tell me what the mineral particles are in this soil. This is clay and nothing but clay. But we've put the organic matter and the organisms back into the system, and we're keeping our herd alive on very little pasturage because you don't need it if you've got the biology back in the soil. And they're always amazed. They're always like, oh, it can't be. This is not the same soil that you showed me 6 months ago. And I've been accused of going out and digging up all of the clay and taking it somewhere and replacing it with sand, silt, and clay, 30% sand, 30% silt, 30% clay. And I just was like, right, I've got that kind of money to be doing that. So hopefully getting the principles across to you that will allow you to start thinking of ways to get this biology back into the soil. And I've got lots of examples, but I'm going to have to reserve those examples for Thursday and Friday. I hope that you will come join us on Thursday and Friday to hear more information. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
We have a few minutes if anyone would like to ask questions. Ben will have... Ben? Get a microphone there.
So questions, they'll come out. I talked fast.
Hi there. Can I ask a question about our winters, please? It's about our winters, establishing a crop over winter. So a crop's a few weeks old, and then nothing happens. Thank you.
Okay, so in the instance where you've seeded in the fall or early winter period, and normally those seeds would be able to germinate and grow in the fall, but nothing's coming up. The approach to take would be to go out and take soil samples and send those soil samples into Laverstock Park, which is where the SFI lab here in England is at, and ask them to do an assessment of the biology in that soil. Can I ask that people in the back, I'm running out of voice because I have to, no, I haven't finished the last question because I'm having problems. So I would usually want to talk with you about what's the response. Do you have weeds coming up instead of your crop? Let's go with a metal rod and try and find where you've got the compaction layer in that soil so we know where to get the biology down to. I would probably want you to start making compost with really good biology in it, and in just a few short weeks we can make that compost and start getting it out on your soils, especially here where you don't have freezing weather. The only time you can't put biology out is when the ground's actually frozen. So get this proper biology back into your soil, and come next spring, we should be able to get all of those seeds germinated and growing. Your face doesn't look real happy. Okay, okay? Sure. Do I want to pick? Who's got a question? How about right here? Last question. I'm picking the guys in front because it's easier to get to them.
You didn't discuss crop rotations. How important are they?
When you put the proper biology back into the soil, crop rotation is something you don't have to do. Why are we told that we have to rotate crops? Because if you keep planting the same place in the same, over time, year after year after year, you're going to get massive amounts of diseases, right? Wrong. If the biology is good in your soil, if you maintain biology, no disease. Don't have to rotate crops. The other reason we're told we have to rotate crops is because over time we're removing all the nutrients from that soil. Excuse me? Is there like one plant that only has nitrogen in it? Only phosphorus? All plants require all of the nutrients in more or less the same concentrations. And if we maintain the biology in your soil, we're pulling those nutrients out of the sand, out of the silt, out of the clay, out of your rocks, out of your pebbles. Until the day you've lost all your rocks, all your pebbles, all your gravel, only after all of your parent material is gone, like when's that going to happen? Not until that day do you have to worry about rotation of your crops. You never run out of nutrients if you've got biology in your soil. So, why would you have to rotate your crops? Not necessary. Oops, the organic world just went ballistic.
We've got to get you to
Gotta go. Thank you.